Hi, I'm Madison. I'm the senior social media manager for 1 Second Every Day. And my app that has gotten me through the last 12 months has been TikTok. I'd be lying if I said it didn't get me through it all. Just scrolling for hours, watching cat videos. That's my cup of tea.
Okay, and moving on to Zach.
Hey, I'm Zach, the founder of Hashtag Expert, which is the best way to find hashtags for your social media accounts. I also I'm not sure with the question. Were you talking about what's the best app that's got us through the past 12 months, like in terms of development? Because if that's the case, then I would say one thing. And if it's what's just gotten me through time, then I would likewise say TikTok, like been consuming that like crazy.
Well, since you've opened it up and your answer's the same, so is there what app has actually helped you with the actual business? Yeah, and the app.
I was going to say recently it's been Speechify. Like I've just been really inspired by how they've been doing their advertising, and it's been informing a lot of my decisions, I would say, around, what a good ad should look like. So that's been like my creative inspiration lately.
Great. And over to you, Jake.
Hey everybody, my name is Jake. I'm the founder and CEO at Fitness AI, which is a workout app that uses artificial intelligence to build you the perfect workout plan for whatever fitness goals you have set. The app that's gotten me through the pandemic is an app called Endel, spelled Endel, and it's a music generation app that it sort of makes like a seamless background audio for whatever task you have set, and it's very, very calming and also like motivating, oddly.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I need that's too distracting having Spotify on. I'm constantly changing it or fiddling with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And over to you, David.
Hi, I'm David Barnard, developer advocate at RevenueCat. We're a subscription app platform providing tools to build, grow, and optimize your subscription app. I'm also a developer, so I have a few apps in the store, a weather app, a launcher app. And I'd say that the app that got me through the pandemic was my Oura Ring. It's also hardware, but it told me how poorly I was sleeping and what a bad job I was doing, but actually helped motivate me to keep working on the things that I knew that would help with sleep and fitness and stuff like that. So it's a great companion to kind of keep you honest about your nightly routines and stress and physical activity and stuff.
Great. Okay, so let's now kick off with the thinking about the future. So we've covered a bit today, and we'll be covering a bit later on this week in terms of what's working right now, ASO, user acquisition, engagement and retention. But the question is, what's the future of app growth? Where's this all heading? Maybe, David, we can continue with you while I sort out Madison's screen share.
Okay.
You've also been thinking a lot about what we've heard at WWDC. You guys are connected to a lot of different apps through your platform. You're at the cutting edge of kind of this new business model of subscriptions. You've got a really good sense of where the market's going. So what do you think's happening?
Well, without quite as much context, specifically around growth and user acquisition and stuff, when you prompted me for this question a few weeks ago and I started kicking around ideas, I actually kind of took it a step higher level and not like kind of tactics, but more, strategy level. And so the thing I was reminded of was actually something I wrote in 2012 and feel like I've been like beating my head against this wall for almost a decade now. So I'm going to quote myself, but only because I suck at it. But I think it is still the future, 10 years later. So this is what I wrote back in 2012. The future of sustainable app development is to give away as much value as possible and empower those who receive more value to pay more for it. And this is something Zach has actually talked a lot about with his app, Hashtag Expert. Like, how do you give value to those folks who aren't quite yet willing to pay, and especially in an app like Zax where where more users actually bring more value. And I think over the last, the decade since I wrote that, there's been kind of ebbs and flows in freemium strategy. And as Facebook, Google, TikTok ads got more and more efficient with the IDFA and using MMPs to track everything and these AI algorithms to find you the perfect customer, I feel like some of the freemium strategy kind of was lost, where it really became the playbook was, dial in your paywall, dial in your onboarding, dial everything in to get as many subscribers as you can, as quickly as you can, to get that return on ad spend. And if they're not paying you, they're not your customer. And I think with the changes in the IDFA and just other shifts in the industry, I think that kind of getting back to this struggle with freemium, like how much can I give away? Because those free users, like, if somebody comes into your app and they're not quite yet willing to pay, and they're not even willing to start a free trial, but if there's enough of that like nugget of value that you can give them, that they stick around and keep using it, maybe a month from now they get a bonus and they're willing to pay. Maybe a year from now they get a new job. Maybe, they're like with Zach's app, #expert, maybe right now they're just tinkering around with social media and don't have, a business plan or whatever. But all of a sudden, like, 3 months from now, they get a burst of followers and they're like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. Like, I'm totally willing to pay for that app. And so, a lot of apps these days, or especially over the last few years, when the strategy was like, get them to the paywall, get them to convert. If they don't convert, whatever, they're going to have to reacquire those same customers over and over again. Whereas I think a lot of apps are starting to, and I think it's going to just be more and more important moving forward to really think deeply about that freemium strategy. Is how can we actually give away value, but in a way that, some apps can't. You have marginal costs and other things, but how can we get as many of these users that we've paid for engaged over the long haul? And then part of our thesis at RevenueCat is that we're really in the early innings of consumer spend on apps. And so over time, you're going to have more and more of those users willing to spend. And so if you've already ostracized them, if you've already lost them, you're not capturing that. And so if you can bring people in, get them engaged, keep them around, even if they're not paying you yet, it's the perfect opportunity to then grow revenue over time by continuing to add features, continuing to improve the product, and just building up over time.
Great. So slightly counterintuitive from a subscription app platform that, maybe not. What you should be doing is, putting more value out there before any paywall, building a user base, as you say, building the top of the funnel. How does that chime with our other panelists? So
I definitely agree that the future, I think the future of app growth is definitely in the air. The methods that we've been using over the last 3 to 4 years are, I think, going away. So I think it's going to be harder and harder to advertise on any platform besides Apple. I think it'll continue to get harder. Like attribution is just, you have to assume a world in, I think, a year or two where there's absolutely no attribution. And we're back at the age-old problem of knowing that half of our marketing spend is great, but we don't know which half. So I do definitely agree that the future is just building a really incredible product that people share and speak about at dinner and, just share with friends naturally. I slightly disagree with the freemium model though, because like, let's say you have a set of 100 features and you decide to give half of them away for free. They're not really experiencing the full product, your free users, and your paid users are paying for less because now half of the features they would have gotten for free. So I think it kind of sits like, I think it makes people feel a little guilty to subscribe. But I do agree that we're going to have to give away much more for free. I think it might be more in the form of in the form of trials, but that maybe aren't credit card down, or really, really long trials. So like 30-day trials, or in Fitness AI, maybe you get 10 free workouts, and then you get to experience the full product in its entirety. But then at a certain point, you're paywalled. I think I have a hunch that might be a little more efficient, but I'm not sure. And
how do you balance that, Jake? Your product specifically as well benefits from having more data. Are you at a point where having some level of engagement from a free user doesn't actually help make the product better?
For me specifically, not that much. Like, we're looking at long-term trends of people's workout history to figure out, what could we do in the first 6 months to make your next 6 months better. So I think Zach probably benefits much more from people jumping on early. So like, I don't have much of an opportunity cost, I would say, of letting those users go.
Yeah,
but I also think. No, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I would for sure say that like the whole freemium or completely paid, like whether there is a free tier of your app, depends on the benefit you get from free users. Hashtag Expert gets better with every additional free user because we have more hashtag data, so the algorithm gets better, the trending charts are better. But if your app doesn't have that kind of dynamic, then you can throw that out the window. But what I would say is the future of app growth, and likewise with David, I almost take a high level approach, because in the past year, we've seen numerous examples of these apps that just go incredibly viral, whether it's Dispo that had a huge influencer behind it, so it went viral. And then eventually gravity sets in. So UA only matters if you have some level of retention. So the bare minimum for being able to grow an app is you have to have a really good product. You need to be able to retain it. I think now that apps are kind of maturing into businesses, right? It's like, we're not just making apps, we're trying to build legitimate multi-million-dollar businesses. You have to take a look at it through the lens of how do you grow a successful business? And the key to that is having really happy users, really good reviews, and extremely high retention. So yeah, so I think eventually gravity will just set in, right? But currently for me, Facebook ads are working incredibly well. The ATT thing has done one thing, which has makes it simpler to run ads. You just run a AAA campaign, and that's really it. TikTok is also promising, I would say. And the unofficial TikTok ads, where you're just paying influencers, is also an incredible thing. But one of the other benefits you get from building an organically really successful and incredible product that satisfies your users is people organically talk about it on TikTok. And that's when you have these videos where, when widgets came out, there was apps that I know David was aware of that completely bonkers viral because somebody just organically made a TikTok about it. So product is the tide that rises, raises all ships. That is the one thing that matters the most.
So right. So in terms of the freemium stuff, David's outlined the thesis. You need more value, sort of upfront before you go into paid. What's your take on that?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that that is its thesis specifically, but right. Jake actually made a good point. Like, giving away more value isn't necessarily like giving everything away for free. Like what Jake was saying actually falls into what I'm trying to say about getting better at freemium. That like, if you can give away 10 complete workouts, like you're giving away a lot of value and giving them as much value as you can, but then you're gating it at a certain point. And so like, and it's going to be a struggle for different apps with different strategies who, are approaching things different, have different costs. But the idea is that struggling with where to draw those lines is what's going to help propel you and get you to the right place. Like if you're giving away too little and not demonstrating value to your users, it's so much harder to convert them. And as you're just shedding more and more users through those bad experiences, like Zach was saying about getting bad reviews and things like that, like finding those sweet spots of like how much can I give away and still maintain whatever like level of conversion I need to make the numbers work is more what I'm talking about.
Got it. And Madison, what's your take on this from 1 second every day? Where have you drawn the line of paid or free?
For us, free users are really important because they're generating content for us and posting it on things like TikTok. Because something I was going to talk about is UGC and TikTok. I think that it's still the future of app growth, and we've seen a lot of success with that. We started a TikTok account in December, and our busiest season is usually the New Year's. And we were scrolling through TikTok and found some girl had made a video of her just sitting there with some text over the video that was talking about a concept that was very similar to 1 second every day, that you should capture your life, make your life movie. And we hopped on that, made a duet with it. Yeah, it's the one on the left. Made a duet with it in like the first couple hours that it was posted. And her video catapulted to 15 million views. Our video got 2 million. And we ended up being #1 in the App Store for the first time ever, because somebody randomly decided to make a video about it. And other people, there's 46,000 comments in there. And we had people jumping in and saying how much they love 1 second every day. Oh, there's an app for that. So having brand recognition and people that are already posting about you because your product is free is very important to us. And in the middle is a video that I made for our TikTok, and it got 2.3 million. And this is during the off season. So we were actually able to correlate these TikToks with our app download spikes. And we ended up having just as many downloads in May as we did on a New Year's a couple years ago. Like it's insane. And we were able to see spikes in France from French TikTokers, in the UK from UK TikTokers. And then on the right is a recent one that we had from Argentina. She decided to share her story about 1 second every day, and it went to #2 in Argentina just recently. And it's right below like the COVID app that they have. So that was pretty cool and fun. And it's nice to see like this correlation. And we really wouldn't have this without having a good product. So I agree, but we have to offer things, a lot of things for free for our users so that they can make incredible videos and share them. And, you know, our subscription model too, we try to really talk about our team, and people love our team because we're small and scrappy and people can get behind that. And we have a lot of people that say, we're willing to pay just because we like your team and we've used your app for 3 years, so we might as well pay now. But yeah.
Got it. So Madison, you're saying yes to something for free, yes to a great product, but amplify that with TikTok and influencer marketing and user-driven content marketing.
Yeah, and we're definitely a different team too, because we don't do any kind of paid ads. We've done them once, but it wasn't that successful, and we've found much more success in just user-generated content and organic growth.
And we heard a similar story from Seth at Rap Chat earlier about how the viral loop of getting people to post stuff on, you know, major platforms was really key for them. Is that something Jake or Zach you're kind of you've also seen or you're interested in?
I'm very interested in it. It's very tough to force UGC onto a user base that isn't, you know, like it's not natural to create. Not yet, to create UGC like while you're working out. But if you're a product where you're creating a lot of shareable content, I think it definitely makes sense. I mean, use 1 second every day as a case study. It definitely makes sense to give a lot more away for free because you get something back in return. For us, the user-generated content is like bigger biceps. People are like, "Oh wow, you look big," and then people get talking about it. So maybe actually there is like maybe a 30-day free trial makes sense for us.
Yeah, I don't know. The sweaty selfie stuff, I feel like could really.
Yeah. So
Fitness AI viral.
So I've been trying to work it in. So right now, users can nudge their friends to work out. So you can add friends to to Fitness AI, and you get a notification every time they work out. You could nudge them, you could send kudos. But the UGC that we added is a sweaty selfie. So after your workout, you take a sweaty selfie that lets you show off how intense your workout is. And those are getting a good amount of shares. We have like, I would say 8 to 10% of people working out are taking selfies, which is fun.
That's awesome. Are you overlaying some of like their workout stats and stuff like that?
Yeah. So if you go to share it, a share sheet comes up with a bunch of media outlets on the bottom, and we overlay their workout on top of that. And that share through rate is like 25%. Yeah, so
nice.
I would say like maybe 1 to 2% of total workouts are being shared somewhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But I haven't seen much of it. You know, like it hasn't really moved the needle. I think I'm trying to force it, but you got to make something that people like to see. Like with 1 second every day, it's just freaking cool. You know, seeing like 1 second every day for a year, it's very shareable. So yeah.
Okay, so we've got have a great product, expose that to people before you make them pay, and get that sharing on different platforms, and make what you're able to share really compelling, something that's going to stand out and cut through the Instagram or TikTok algorithm. I mean, Jake, anything else you sort of, you know, did you have to think about in terms of the future of app growth, or have we got all the main elements there?
Yeah, I mean, my conspiracy theory is that Apple is killing all the other advertising outlets so that they can build out their own. I think they're adding a lot of, like they just added a spot in the App Store where you can advertise on the search page. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think there's going to be a reintroduction of iAd. I don't know if everyone remembers that. David, you remember iAd?
Oh yeah, back in the day.
I could see. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I could very much see Apple saying, okay, if you want to be an app on the App Store and you want to advertise other apps, you have to use our ad network. Just because Facebook and Google are making so much money off this, I think it really bothers Apple that it's uncaptured revenue. Yeah, so I think a lot of app growth will go through Apple in the next 10 years.
Okay, good. So I think we've got a good model here for app growth. David, do you think we've covered everything off? Anything we're missing?
Oh, there's about 100 more things we could discuss on app growth. I mean, you know, there really are just so many different ways to grow an app. I mean, you know, everything from, you know, apps that get a ton of press, you know, you can't control going viral, but you can, you know, set yourself up in that direction. I don't think, you know, paid acquisition is going away. To Zach's point, like, you know, they're doing really well on Facebook. Even ads on TikTok, not just the user-generated content. Developers are having success taking that user-generated content and running them as ads. So you can, you know, work with micro influencers to create these videos. Yeah, so I mean, we could talk hours, and I mean, we could have a whole days long conference just talking through all the different strategies. And what's really cool too is there's so many creative developers out there trying new things. Jake and Zach, and you know, I talked to them quite a bit. They use RevenueCat with their subscription apps, and so we've talked quite a few times. And it's super impressive all the innovative stuff they try. Like, and the fact that they hang out together too. Like, you know, they're bouncing stuff back and forth. They're trying new things. They're measuring the results, and you know, like Jake being able to say, you know, 2% of all workouts are shared, but I haven't seen a lift. It's because he knows his numbers. He's trying, he's experimenting, and then he's like has the tools in place to actually measure that. And so, yeah, I don't think there's any like, I don't think these like 4 answers are like the solutions. I think that, you know, developers are innovative and creative, and like there's thousands of ways for you to grow your app, but it's just try it. And you know, find the ones that seem to make sense and then try them and see how it works.
Great. So that's another one. Yeah, keep trying, keep iterating. We heard similar story from Seth at Rap Chat. Yeah, or always be shipping and trying new stuff and iterating. And any sort of final comments from you, Zach, on other sort of ways of growing an app beyond having a great product?
Yeah, I mean, I think having the iterative approach that you have to product, right? Always be shipping should be the same on marketing, right? Like what you should be launching X new campaigns every day, 5 new campaigns, try this channel, try that channel. Like you really need to throw as much as you can at the wall, see what sticks, even if it sounds like a dumb idea. That's kind of been my approach. And there's so much unintuitive stuff that happens in marketing. Nothing makes sense when it works, when it doesn't. Like we paid this TikToker who made this, what we thought was the dumbest skit ever, like so dumb. We're like, this is the cringiest thing ever. Who's gonna watch this? She posts it, gets 400,000 views. We get like our highest trial starts in a day in history. Like we literally the cringiest. If I showed you guys, you'd be like, are you kidding me? You paid somebody to make this? Like it was ridiculous. So I think just having the iterative approach to marketing, trying to build out systems for, informing people who are making ads for you on what's working, what's not working, all of that.
Great. And Madison, any advice for other apps trying to use TikTok or influencers? Anything you're excited about for the next 12 months?
I think the big thing is not overthink content. I think it can be extremely simple as long as you have a story to tell. I think that's a big one. And I know a lot of people mentioned kind of being able to keep that viral loop going, and how do you do that? And we just announced that we're starting a brand ambassador program today. And so that's kind of how we're doing it, is getting some super fans to apply and being really close to the community in a way that we haven't been before.
That's amazing.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to following up on that and checking it out. And hope you can share some more details, maybe the next event. Maybe we'll actually have some cocktails that time. And Jake, any closing comments on what you're excited about for the next 12 months, or things that could, other things we've maybe missed?
Yes, I'm excited for gyms reopening because it'll do great for Fitness AI. But I think during COVID, like tech adoption has just gone up insane amounts. I think we're using apps for telehealth. We're ordering food with apps. We're using not just Netflix for consuming content, but we're using Disney Plus, and the list goes on. So I think it's like, I think we're a good 5 years in the future out of this pandemic with how willing people are to try apps. And I'm just excited for the whole market to sort of grow.
Well, it's just suppose on that, it's quite an interesting one. It's a very challenging time for a lot of people in the industry. Apple's really upset the Apple cart, and made things a lot more challenging. Things that were working aren't necessarily going to work anymore. Different types of marketing's not going to work, and this comes off the back of a lot of growth. How much? And we heard from sort of Nico earlier. He sees still like a huge opportunity out there for apps, particularly subscription apps. Where if we have been pushed 5 years into the future, maybe this can be the sort of last question. How much further growth and potential do you think there is left in apps? Where are we in the cycle, or are we going to be moving on to VR in 2 years' time? And
I think that let's talk about unicorns in the app, like unicorn app businesses. There are only a handful. Like you have Calm was like the first really just purely an app. But then you had Duolingo. You have it's so early, but I strongly believe that there's going to be a unicorn in every category. So every category in the App Store, I think, will have at least one. I think we're maybe 20% of the way there, maybe 15. I don't even know.
Okay. And
unless some other product takes over, like VR.
Well, so Madison, you're going to be doing 1 second every day in VR, or you think the app's going to be the place to be for the next 5 years?
Oh, that would be really cool. I would love that. I would love to relive my memories through VR, but I think we're still solid. I mean, just as long as people keep capturing their memories, the more valuable the product is too. So we have people that have been doing it for 7 years, so it looks good for us. But I don't know about growth within other areas or anything. I wouldn't know too much about that. I just know in like the social and content creation kind of space, it doesn't seem like TikTok is going anywhere anytime soon, and unless somebody comes up with a really fantastic and original idea.
Great. And Zach, you're building lots of really useful tools and services. I guess you could build them on any platform. You could be building desktop apps, web apps. You know, you've chosen to focus on mobile. Did you still see a lot of growth ahead for this?
Yeah, I don't think mobile is going anywhere, but I do think there are some decisions Apple is making that are eliminating entire categories of apps from existing, right? I think this whole issue with FanHouse, how, you know, basically they didn't want to do the revenue split, and then Apple wants to take 30% of this business, whereas they're not taking 30% from Cameo. Because of how stringent their rules are, there are certain apps and businesses and systems that aren't being built now, innovation that's not happening, that will happen, I think, on a future platform, whether it's VR, AR glasses, or whatever. Xbox, the xCloud thing is another example. It seems like the future of gaming is going to be streaming games to your device and not actually having them on device. What happens when Apple doesn't allow that to happen on iPhones, and everybody's just getting an Android phone and playing Xbox, every single Xbox game they can, because why not? So perhaps we're starting to see some cracks, but at the same time, we're not. I personally have, and I think a lot of people, once they start scaling up app businesses, realize that there are a lot of problems that come with having an overlord and somebody who controls everything you do. We are investing heavily in web, not just being able to sign up. We're investing in being able to sign up for our iOS apps via web. So we direct our user acquisition to our website where you pay there. We own the subscription. We get 97% of the revenue. We're doing that. At the same time, we're building out web app products because, like I said, any app business, as they scale up, they realize there's no difference between app business and regular business. You're building a business, right? And my job is to provide users the best experience possible. For some products where you are heavily using the on-device technology, whether it's camera or whatever, for sure you need to have an app because that's the only way. But for us, where it's the app is really just a UI, it's just a front end for a back end service. We could do that anywhere. We could easily do that on web. There's some really interesting web technologies coming out with progressive web apps that look and almost feel completely like a native app. So I think apps will continue to do well, but the potential is being limited by some of the decision-making Apple is doing, and businesses like, any business that's scaling up in the app space is probably going to look elsewhere because there are just too many limitations on us in terms of shipping, refunding customers, the churn issues that subscription apps have. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that makes us want to move somewhere else.
Okay, well, David, Jake says we're only sort of 15-20% into the growth of apps. We've got multiple unicorns, hopefully enabled by Revenue Cat to come. Zach is a little more bearish on the market. Where do you think it's going to end up, and what's the potential over the next 5 years of apps? Or are you also going to be doing Revenue Cat for VR or?
Gosh, there's like 10 things to answer there. I think, Jake, I don't know that I'd put numbers on it, but I definitely think we're in the early innings still. And I think there's been a big shift the last few years and this is why I joined Revenue Cat and I'm bullish on subscriptions, is that there's really been a shift from users paying with attention to actually paying, and that's enabled developers to create better and better apps. And it's a more direct, more honest relationship with customers. Like, if you build something valuable enough that they want to pay, they will pay, versus like, I need to trap them into spending more time so they see more ads. And I think we're, with privacy, with internet addiction, with all those kind of things, I think, you know, we're really in the early innings of people saying, you know what, I don't want to pay with my attention. I don't want to be hooked on these apps. I'd rather pay a few bucks a month. And so when you think about the spend on apps currently compared to other markets, and I use Jake as an example all the time. You know, if somebody's paying $60 a session for a trainer, or $60 a month for a gym membership, $60 a year for Fitness AI. Hopefully you've already raised your prices, Jake, but that was the last time we talked. $60 a year for an app that makes those experiences better, or maybe even takes away the need for a trainer. I think people, as developers, are able to build more and more sophisticated apps and then enhance these real world experiences. You know, I think we are going to see more and more spend. I think we're really in the early innings. And then to the kind of AR, VR feature platforms and stuff like that, I think we're a long way from those being mainstream personal computing tools, where, you know, that's going to be your kind of primary interface with the world. But even when that does come, you're gonna want apps, and Apple's platform is a perfect example of this. Like, yeah, Apple just announced a new iOS 15 weather app. That's really nice, but guess what? I'm still building a weather app because it's not the weather app for me. And there's like 30 great weather apps on the platform. You know, Apple created Fitness Plus, but you know what? That's not the fitness app for everyone. There's still, you know, Peloton and Fitness AI and a bunch of different fitness apps out there. And so if Apple goes into the future platforms with this, like, we're going to own every experience, I think that other platforms are going to better succeed. That the ones that will succeed in the long run are the ones that are going to empower developers to create experiences on there. And then the experiences that are going to be most valuable are the ones that developers are building that are so valuable that people are willing to pay for it. So, so wherever things go, you know, I think we're still, you know, we'll get an early version of AR in the next few years, but it's going to be, you know, people were talking about the Apple Watch, like 6 years ago when it was announced, like, oh, it's going to be the future of computing, and it's going to be less and less reliant on the iPhone. But, and maybe, you know, 5 more years from now, that can be more true. But, you know, these things take time. But, you know, as these shifts happen, I think apps will continue to be important. And so, yes, Revenue Cat, you know, me personally with my own side projects, like, I look forward to supporting all of these new platforms as they come along, but they're all going to be best if there's a vibrant developer community building experiences for them.
Great. Well, I'd say in summary, we agree there's lots of challenges, Jake, you know, and the current UA models are being disrupted, but there's one path through here, which is to have a great product, get people to use it, get them to share it and create content out of it, and charge them lots of money, much more than $60 a year to use it, make it really valuable, become a unicorn, one of these unicorns, and then, yeah, distribute it across all these other new platforms we're gonna see in a few years. So that sounds like you know, a lot to work on for Madison, Zach, and Jake, and yeah, David, I'm sure you'll be helping to enable them. I want to say a big thank you to you all for joining this panel, especially as we weren't able to give you any cocktails to take part in it. And yeah, I hope we can see you all in person at a future event, and, you know, really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
No, thank you.
Thank you, James.